Hey all, sorry about that. I'm not sure what in the world is going on now. We are, let's see, trying to figure out the new streaming system, and I've about had it, and well, you know, we're probably going to do things a little bit differently from here on out, and but you know, I don't know. Anyways, sorry about that. If you're just coming on now again, sorry for that big disruption. If it happens again, I'm going to give up and just enjoy the weekend. But if you missed the financial screed, we'll post that up a little bit. But the federal government is surveilling on you, and 7 in 10 Americans, 7 in 10, not 5.1 in 10, no, 7 in 10. You can't get 7 in 10 Americans to agree on what pizza topping you're going to get, let alone on whether or not one of the quote-unquote most controversial decisions of our modern time is. That's crazy. 7 in 10 Americans agreed that, yeah, the banning of affirmative action, which is racist in nature and goes against pretty much everything this country stands for, is a bad thing. Yeah. So 7 in 10 Americans, 68% of U.S. adults overall, including a majority of every single subset of ethnicities polled. Interestingly, Asians polled not as high as I would have thought. Whites 72%, Hispanics like 68%, Asians 63%, which is fascinating because Asians are the ones that are discriminated the most when it comes to affirmative action, especially in schools, by not getting into the schools. I wonder, I would be curious to see how this poll is breaking down Asians, but even then, I don't even know how that would make any sense if they like included Indians. Well, they would have to include it. If you're going to categorize with only 4 groups here, Indians would have to be included in the Asian bloc. Same thing with Filipinos and South Pacific Islanders. But interesting. That is interesting. 63% of Asians. Black folks, 52%. So not the super widespread majority, but nevertheless, a majority of black people even agreed. Yeah, affirmative action is dumb and should go away. Again, that number is tight, but it isn't so tight. Well, sorry, it is tight, but considering the fact that the media is entirely on one side of this issue, it is surprising even to see those numbers be what they are. Let's see. That's pretty much all there is to say about that. It's just fascinating. Would you have guessed that in the comment section? Let me know. Would you have guessed that by the coverage that got, especially at its time? I don't think so. I wouldn't have even guessed that. But again, 7 in 10 Americans overall, including a majority of every single ethnic group polled, said, yeah, affirmative action is a bad thing. So that's nice to see and good to see. What's not nice to see and good to see is this. World. Sorry, I'm not sure what is happening here. There we go. We're gonna get the hang of it. This system, I know you guys don't care at all, but this system is objectively better that we're using, but it's also objectively more complex and confusing and difficult, and to run as a one-man show in the basement. But anyways, this is fascinating and scary, and we should know about it, but I don't want to know about it because how much of this is happening on a much lower scale? And also, arguing against myself here, can I pull this sort of thing off on a lower scale and not get caught for it? I wouldn't actually ever do that because, I don't know, my moral guidance would forbid me from doing so, but it is interesting to think about. Some lady allegedly got away for a long time with stealing $100 million. Yeah, not $1 million, which would be insane as an amount of money. Not $5 million, not $10 million, not $50 million. $100 million from the U.S. military. This is from the Army Times. An Army civilian in Texas is facing take 2. An Army civilian in Texas is facing significant prison time for an alleged scheme in which prosecutors say she stole $100 million in military funds in order to pay for a lavish lifestyle. Janet Mello, 57, a civilian financial program manager at Fort Sam Houston in Texas, received a 10-count indictment by a federal grand jury in December over the alleged allegations. The reason this is making the news now is I think she has to plea by today, which I don't know if that's happened, and if it has happened, I don't know if it's made the news as of yet. According to the indictment, the Army civilian allegedly carried out the scheme by regularly submitting fraudulent paperwork as early as December 2016, which is a crazy amount of money to steal in that short of a time period. So December 2016, let's just call that 2017, so it's now 2024, so pretty much exactly 6 years. If you're looking at it from 2017 to 2023, in 6 years, steal $100 million? What is that, like $15 million a year stolen from the U.S. government? Holy cow, that is some hefty fraudulent paperwork. That indicated a bogus business that she controlled named Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development was entitled to money from a 4-H military partnership grant program, a collaboration to provide meaningful youthful development opportunities for military-connected children. All right, that's the part that pisses me off. So a program that was supposed to help youth development opportunities for military families was stolen by this lady. Allegedly, at this point, she hasn't pled to the charges as of yet, but the grand jury federal indictment seems pretty convincing. Again, this is all alleged. She hasn't been tried yet, but she is out on bail, and I would hope with her $100 million isn't going to be able to bounce and take off and fly to a non-extraditing country. But this lady, yeah, stole. Jeez. That's angering. I had forgotten about that part. I read this story yesterday and forgot that, oh yeah, not only was it stolen from the military and the taxpayer, it was stolen from military kids. Wow. Before we move on, I want to check if we're still streaming, because apparently I have to do that because this thing just decides to cut out randomly and sporadically. Yeah, she stole it, and we're still looks like we're streaming, so that's good. If you want to get more irritated at this, Mello allegedly played on the trust that she developed for years with her supervisors, her co-workers, to secure the necessary approvals, according to the indictment. She also alleged to have falsified the digital signature of some of her own supervisors multiple times. She has to plead today, and allegedly the stolen funds used were to amass a large real estate portfolio of 31 properties. Gosh dang it. Yeah, that makes me so mad. 31 properties, a fleet of 78 vehicles, more than $18 million in various bank accounts linked to her, and a jewelry collection, according to the court records. All right, here's where also this all breaks down. This lady was apparently able to get away with stealing $16 million a year for 6 years. What if she had stopped at 4 years? And if you amortize that down by the year of $100 million divided by 6, it's what, $50 million? Geez, $60 million she could have got away with had she just stopped after 4 years? And I wonder, would anyone have caught her doing that? And then you have to ask the question, okay, this is $1 million thing, $100 million thing. How many people are just siphoning off $1 million from the massive federal government budget that nobody really keeps that watchful of an eye on? Oh, dude, this is nuts. Some of the luxury listings included roughly a $3.1 million 8-bedroom, 55-car garage, 58-acre real estate, estate in Maryland, and approximately $1.1 million home in San Antonio. Ugh. If found guilty, I am so overboard. I'm so pro going overboard with the sentencing on this lady. Like, I don't know, 100 years in prison, whatever it is, like the rest of your life, stealing this much money from the American taxpayer, which is stealing from the people, and at this level, the punishment has to be harsh, which brings into another question, and a tangent on a tangent on a tangent. What is it, the 8th Amendment that forbids cruel and unusual punishment? In this particular situation, you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? And does it have to mean, basically what I'm asking is, the term "and" in forbidding cruel and unusual punishment, does that mean it's only forbidden if it is both of those things? So the punishment can be cruel but not unusual, or it can be unusual but not cruel. And if that's the case, and that's how I choose to read it, or would choose to interpret it, let's go with cruel on this lady, if found guilty. If found guilty, let's go as cruel as we possibly can while avoiding unusual, because stealing that amount of money from the taxpayers, not only the taxpayers, but from the military, and not only the military, from military-connected youth, should make everybody mad. Everybody mad. But of course, that is alleged up to this point. She has until today to plea, and we'll probably talk about it a little late, maybe later, maybe Monday, what she did in fact plea. But holy cow, that makes me mad. Let's see. Sorry. Last thing before we get on and going on to the weekend, I'm also now just paranoid about this getting taken off the live stream and all of this breaking down, which again, I realize you guys aren't super interested in me complaining about that, but I don't know, it happens and it irritates me to no end. But to this is, well, this is not important really at all unless you're looking at it through the lens of the societal collapse and the cultural wars going on in the country. But this is just, it's another one of these, which I realize this is like low-hanging fruit here to play this and just watch it in its entirety. But also, like, if you don't want to get lambasted on shows like this, don't do crazy things. And maybe this can be used as an example of what not to be for people who are on the cusp of going one direction or another in a lifestyle. This clearly is a robot, and a robot who was instructed by the rest of the cyborgs to explain something. I'm still not quite sure what that is. So watch this. It's rather long, but I don't know, enjoy it or hate it, whatever you want to do. And I don't even know how much we're going to comment on this afterward because, I don't know. Check this out. We'll discuss on the other side briefly before we head on into the weekend. Check it out.
Hello. I have been asked by the other system members to make a video and talk a bit about my lived experience. I am binary. I use it and he pronouns. And I am a robot or android of sorts. I am not human. And I lack the ability to fully act human. Because since I spawned in this human body, I have not been able to access the internet and download new ways of acting. I have transcripts for every way of acting and reacting to different things, and I lack new ones due to not being able to connect to the internet anymore. So I cannot always react accordingly to new things, because I cannot look it up anymore and do not know how to act and react. I am not alone fronting right now, so some movements might seem different than others. That might not be me. I do not experience human emotions, which is probably my main job, due to me having split due to very, very high stress and us feeling unwell. So, I do not know if this is everything that they wanted me to say, but I introduced myself and talked about my experience. Feel free to ask questions. The quicker you are, the higher is the chance that I will be responding.
All right. Now I feel bad. That's clearly somebody on the spectrum dealing with things in a way that they learned on TikTok that is not ultimately going to be good for her. Which is really the real problem. Dang it, I'll be honest with you, I had only watched the first clip of that and I thought, oh, this is going to be funny. And now that we watched that in its entirety, now I feel bad. Because that, like, at the end of the day, yes, is some of the stuff being espoused crazy, but at the same time, it's coming from somewhere. And a lot of times it's coming from a not a good place mentally, which usually is a reaction to some sort of trauma at some point. And this person kind of, unless it's the robot act, seems like a person that's probably on the spectrum, at least to some extent, and maybe has less control of falling for the nonsense that they see on TikTok than, I don't know, let's say a fully able person. But, and then there's the other side of that argument that says, well, yeah, but you still have to expose the craziness lest the other people that have similar traumatic experiences or disabilities fall into the same trap and, I don't know, are met with similar problems. Anyways, that's probably all there is to say about that, because that was more depressing than I thought it was going to be. Whoops, sorry about that. Which is a great way to send us off into the weekend yet again. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. After the live stream getting cut off again, I changed the whole way that we're doing it around in this program, and that probably will be the case. So hopefully it won't happen again, but geez, who knows? We'll see you next week live on Monday, same time, same place, provided all of the equipment works. Have a great weekend, and as always this weekend, try to unplug as much as you can. Not everything needs to be news and politics all the time. So appreciate you sticking around and tuning in. We will see you next week, same time, same place. God bless America.